Yo, what up, though, man? I got JG The Jugganaut in the building, man. What's good?
What's good, man?
How you been, man?
Life is good, man. Life is good. I had 2020, even though COVID was around, it was a good summer. It was a real good summer.
No, I can imagine, man. I mean, I tell you what, definitely an innovative year.
Yeah.
It's definitely like I found a way, like, you know, especially being in the house, being quarantined, I found different ways to do different things. Thank God for technology.
Yeah.
Because imagine this happening and there's no internet.
Yeah, if this happened in 85, we'd have been hurt.
Man, people would have
hurt in 85.
People would have been out of there, man. But like, what's some of the things that you felt like you benefited from the COVID-19?
I mean, I think it gave me a chance to sit back and not have to do anything and kind of get some of that mental clarity. You know, think about what's important and what's not. You know, a lot of alone time. You know, not having a family or anything like that. Was able to get some reading done, you know, that type of stuff. Those books that you buy, you like, I'm gonna read this at some point in time. I was able to crack them open, stuff like that. So it was a good time. Like, you know, especially once I started getting out, you know what I'm saying, maybe going to see the safe family, this, that, and the third.
Gotcha.
It was a good time.
Yeah, I could. You know what? I never really thought take that in consideration. Because I used to get upset, like, why can't people just stay in the house? Mm-hmm. But you got to think, some people, if they got a spouse, they may be in a house with a spouse that they don't like.
Yeah.
So you force in there.
Yeah.
Or if you live alone,
mm-hmm.
you know, it may be cool the first few days, but now you're talking about weeks or months.
Yeah, like
you just completely cut off from everybody.
When they shut down March 13th. I didn't really see another person until early May.
Oh man!
Like, I was at the crib. Like, the only time I really left the house was to go to the grocery store, and then I'll come back home. And so that was tough. Like, that was tough because it was literally like solitary confinement. Like, and there's only so much FaceTime and phone calling that you can do. It's not gonna change that human interaction. Right. So yeah, it was. I can understand, you know, why some people would stay home, and I can understand why some people it was hard. Like, you know, you got people who are true extroverts where they need people. That's what they need to survive. Me personally, being an introvert, it wasn't so bad. I was able to kind of go back into myself. But those people that need interaction, I can understand why it's difficult.
I got you. So like, and I'm gonna edit this part out if you don't want to share it, but you cool with sharing your experience with getting COVID or not? You want to leave that off?
Nah, we can leave that out. We can leave that out because I don't.
That's cool. We leave it out.
I never had a positive test, but it was the people around me tested positive.
I got you. Okay,
yeah.
No problem. Okay, so a native, Columbus, Ohio, right?
Yeah.
What was your upbringing like, man? Like, because, you know, people know JG The Jugganaut, poet, hip hop artist, you know, lyricist. You know, say these are the things that you're known for. So let's start from the beginning, man. Like, what was the upbringing like, and at what point in time did you fall in love with music?
Well, I was, you know, I come from, you know, I was born in Akron. My family was military, so I moved around a lot. Like, okay. I lived in California, I lived in Colorado. I actually went to a different school every year between 4th and 9th grade. So when I settled in Columbus, it was cool because it was finally like I had a place that was home and I had continuous friends. Like, people that I'm envious of, people who had their friends and they're still friends with people from 4th, 5th grade, because I don't have that experience. But then I'm also thankful for having the experience of living in California for a couple of years, living in Colorado, understanding that there's Black people everywhere and they lived, you know, the life is different in other places. So, you know, when I settled in Columbus, I was a typical kid, man. I was a football player. So, you know, football was huge. And then I read a lot. Like, I was a kid that read, you know, whether it was the autobiography of Malcolm X in high school or it was Waiting to Exhale. I read both of them while in high school. So that was big. Like, just, you know, being able to read something and then listening to music. Like, growing up, mom's was always playing what was hot. So, you know, the late 80s, I'm listening to Al B. Shore. I'm listening to Gerald Levert. I'm listening to Guy. I'm listening to all of the R&B from that era. And then the era before, of course, some Commodores and things like that. But it was really one of those things. It's like it was in the house. It was in the car. Like, every time I hear Bobby Brown's My Prerogative, it takes me back to being 8 years old in the front seat of my mom's Nissan Maxima.
That's dope. So like, with you being in the military family, did you have siblings or were you the only?
I have a younger brother.
So you have a younger brother. So like, how did you? Hold on one second. I'm right here. I'm right here. So like how do your parents break that news? You know what I'm saying? Like military, like yo, you gotta move again. You know what I'm saying? Moving every year since fourth grade.
I think the first time we was excited because we were leaving Akron for the first time.
I got you.
And so we were going to, and then we're going to California. You think California, you think Hollywood, you think LA. I didn't know we were moving to Northern California. Like we were up in the Monterey Bay area on Fort Ord. And so we moved out there and, it was cool. It was a regular life. I was there for 2 years, 5th and 6th grade. It was cool. And then we moved to Colorado. But by the time you spend a year or two living on a military base, you realize your friends are PCSing all the time. They leaving, a PCS military term. But your friends is leaving. It's like, oh, well, we moving to Germany or, we moving to North Carolina. We moving to Alabama, whatever. So you just know at some point in time, your time is coming and you kind of just accept it.
So do that stop you from making friends anywhere else that you had went since like any moment in time, y'all out of there?
Nah, I think you make friends because that's how you get through. You make friends. It just, if I was going through it now, I would have social media and all of that stuff and be able to keep in contact. That's what sucks about, having being a child in the 90s like that was that, but my friends from 7th grade, my friends from 6th grade, I think I've had contact with one of them.
Yeah.
And we just happened to find each other because he was friends with one of my boys that I played at BG with.
Gotcha.
So, that's how he and I was able to reconnect. But that part about it was tough. But you were still out there. You're gonna find kids to go to the courts with, go play football with. You're gonna find friends.
So which one was more your passion? Because I met you when I came to Bowling Green. You know what I'm saying? Of course, you was older than me, but on my recruiting visit. You know what I'm saying? Definitely y'all was coming off like a strong year. Did you got to play when you was my first year?
First year.
Yeah, so you know what I'm saying? Y'all had that successful season or whatever. I come here. But at what point did you get into music? Or was football always more prevalent than music? Or when did you switch?
I think what wound up happening, I always wrote. Like I said, I didn't really talk about it when I was playing ball, but I always wrote and I always read a lot. And so anytime somebody says, me being a poet, anytime somebody says anything about a poetry, there's a woman involved in that story somewhere.
Gotcha.
And I had written some stuff and this girl was like, oh, I host an open mic. You should come through. And I was like, I get a chance to hang out with you? Cool. So I kind of moved into that realm. And then, one of my brother's boys had an album he was working on. And I had this poem. He's like, yo, I want you to put that on my album. Here's this number. Call this dude. Go record it. And that kind of started everything. So that was probably about 2004, 2005.
I got you. Like touching on that spoken word, bro. I've never been a fan of spoken word. I used to think that shit was the dumbest shit ever. like, because people try to get too deep with the shit. You know what I'm saying? They be like, as I walk down the street of life to this McDonald's, I see. I'm like, boo, I'm that nigga up there. Like, yo, this shit whack. But at what time did you like transcend from going to spoken word into hip hop? Like, what made hip hop? What enticed you to the culture?
I think when you start talking about spoken word, man, like the funny part about writing, anybody who writes, that is the cheapest art form to get into because all you have to have is a pencil and a paper.
Yeah.
And you can call yourself whatever kind of writer you are. So what wound up happening was I was, on the open mic circuit in Columbus, and then I moved to Atlanta, and I came back to Columbus, and everything was good. And I started recording with these dudes when I got back. They was rappers. I would get in and do like a little interlude, kind of like, Big Pimp and Delmon from the Dog Pound days, or even Big Rube from Organized Noise. I would get in and do something with that. And I started recording my own tracks, and they was like, yo, this is kind of dope. And I got to a point where I met this dude named Future. He's from Flint. And he was a poet. He was dope. And so I bought his album, and his album felt more like a hip hop album than it did like a poetry album. And I was like, if I ever do an album, it's going to feel like this.
Gotcha.
And so about 4 years later, I was working on the album. I was like, okay, this is what I want. And then boom, I get laid off from my job. And so now I got a choice. I'm either going to finish this album and get out onto poetry's chitlin circuit and try to start moving this album, make myself some money, or I'm going to go find another job that I'm going to hate in 6 months. And I was like, forget it. I finished the album and I told myself I'm gonna try this poetry road thing for 6 months and see if it's going to work. And 6 months turned into 3 years. And I was like, okay, so it worked. And that's really how it wound up happening. Over that course of that next 3 years, I released 2 more albums, excuse me, and then I released a 4th album in 2016.
So when you look at that state, the climate of hip hop right now, the artists that are looked at as very lyrical tend to suffer when it comes to like the being pop music or popular hip hop. Like when you listen to music, do you gravitate more towards lyrical? Like what type of music do you listen to or normally tap into?
I mean, I listen to the lyrical stuff. I mean, I love Kendrick, I love Big Sean, but I feel like if you're a lyricist, you should be able to go to the clubs and make you think about something. Like I think that there's a way to do it all, and I think the problem is that only the best of the best are able to do it all.
Gotcha.
And so, but I mean, honestly, like it's just like, let's be real. I don't necessarily want to hear KRS-One when I'm in the strip club. That's the perfect time to listen to WAP. But when I'm in the car going to work in the morning, I don't necessarily need to hear WAP at that point in time. I need to hear something that's going to get me in the mindset of where I'm going. On a road trip, we'll see. So I think honestly, like it just depends. It depends on where I'm at, and I try to find the art in everybody's work, man, because we all are sitting down at that table or in the studio with that notepad or with your phone, and you're trying to find the way to say whatever it is that you want to say. So it's like, even if I don't like it or listen to it specifically, hey, more kudos to whoever gets it done, because it takes some time to get it done.
So then let's talk about current topic real quick. So what did you think about the Nas album?
I mean, I liked it. I thought it was a strong addition to Nas's to catalog. I mean, I think it was a strong addition to Nas's catalog. I don't think that my social media timeline was so bipolar when it came to it. Some people loved it, some people hated it. I couldn't hate it. I don't think it's as good as say it was written.
I feel like Nas to me is like J. Cole. Like I feel like they made it's boring to me. They don't resonate to me. I guess I can just put it like that. Like it's a couple of songs on Nas' album that's like that slap that I rock with, but it's no replay value for me. It's kind of boring. I still don't like the beat selection. He still sound exactly the same to me, and I feel like the same way with J. Cole. I'm more kind of like, you got to give me I'm with the beat. You got to give me that cadence, and you got to come with that shit. Like Big Sean album to me is going off right now, but I see Big Sean getting the kind of same reviews where people either loving it or they hating it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the social media era has gotten people to a point where everybody's a critic, and now everybody's got a platform for their opinion. It used to be a time when the only time you would be able to figure out if a person's album was good or not, you had to read the source.
Yeah.
Now everybody's got an opinion. Everybody can give it 4 or 5 stars or mics or whatever. And so you can't make everybody happy. It's not possible. I think the best artists and the smartest artists, they find their niche, and they continue to try to grow their niche until their niche includes as many as people as possible.
And I don't feel like they grow their niche. I don't feel like Nas or J. Cole grow their niche. I think they kind of like cater to their base, and which is fine. Which is cool.
If your base is big enough, then I think it's fine. I think, I would love to see what a J. Cole song sounds like if he was, if he had a guest appearance with YG or something along those lines where it stretched, what he does. But, I mean, the thing, he's had so much success with, I think, there is a difference between like the hip hop that I grew up on and then the hip hop that's coming out now. I think that producers have gotten so ridiculous with the things that they're able to do in a studio, the soundscapes that they create. Now it's more of a vibe. You got to have a vibe. If I'm listening to Nas, I'm listening because I'm expecting Nas to say something that's going to enrich me and give me an enriching experience. Whereas, again, I don't necessarily want to have that enriching experience if I got a big booty girl sitting on my lap. That's not necessarily what I want. So, that's when I need that 808. I need that movement that's gonna make me feel good.
Got you. So let's talk about your the music that you're working on right now. So right now you're working on the album.
Yeah.
You got a release date on it?
Nah, honestly, like this album has been through so much. I released a project in 2016 and I was like, oh, I'm gonna come right back.
Gotcha.
And life happens, you know, you relocate and things like that. But the album I'm working on now, man, is, you know, it's called the Jugganaut Suite. And it's different for me because it's all love poems, love tracks from my real life. Like we're
Gotcha.
talking about my real life. Like I can literally point to, I'm talking about this woman or that woman. And if you know me well enough, you'll be able to pick out who it is.
Okay. You think they'd get offended when they hear it?
Nah, cause I play them for them. I send them to them. Like ex-girlfriends, like I just like, hey, I wrote this about you. And you know,
Or you just trying to make sure you still can get in that thing when you need it. Huh? I feel it.
Yeah, I mean,
You ain't dogging them out. You ain't over it yet.
I mean, the thing is that, you know, I'm telling the truth. Like, if you don't want me to tell the truth, then don't give me the truth to tell. And so I have to, you know, in talking about my relationships, I felt like as an adult, you know, as a man, I needed to be honest about the foul shit that I done did. I have to be honest about the things that I've experienced, the things that I've gone through. And so I've tried to be as straightforward with this album as possible. But, you know, it ain't nobody gonna listen to a track and be like, oh, I can't believe he said that about
So
me.
you're not out here like August Alsina, like throwing somebody under the bus.
Nah, ain't nobody. I mean, well, my thing, I'm gonna tell the truth. I'm gonna tell the truth. And if you don't like the truth, then hey, you shouldn't have given me the truth to tell. But it ain't gonna be no surprise thing where I didn't know this was coming. It's like, nah, here's what I wrote about you. You know, you got a choice on whether you like it or not, but here's what I wrote.
Okay. And so what about visuals? Are we going to expect any visuals?
Yeah, I'm going to do some visuals this time, man. I've been lacking on my visuals, man. And so I'm going to do some visuals. It's, I got some ideas, man. I got some real dope ideas. And, you know, I'm lucky enough to be blessed with friends that, like you or my boys. I got a couple of friends that are filmmakers. My boy Kim Vision is blowing up doing videos all over the country. And so I'm like, I gotta do some visuals. So I got a couple of things up my sleeve, a couple of ideas that I want to have. And we'll, you know, hopefully, you know, end of the year, top of next year, you know, the album will come out. We'll come out with a visual or two.
Okay. And so for those who may be tapping in for the first time, like what should we go check out now? Like what for JG the Jugganaut? Where we at right now? What that we should go tap into?
You know, it's I would say my third album. I released in 2013 is a great introduction to what I do. It's called Rhythmic American Poetry. It's 20. It's like 20, I was ODing. It's like 20 something tracks long, but it's a great introduction to this is what hip hop and spoken word sounds like.
Yeah.
When you put them together, and you know, it wound up winning the National Poetry Award for Poetry Album of the Year, and it's a great introduction to what it is that I do because it's going to give you a whole mix of everything. You know, it's going to be a couple of poems about the ladies, it's going to be a couple of poems about the streets, it's going to be a couple of poems about a little bit of everything.
Hey, man. Well, I'm definitely rooting for you, man, and I'm definitely wanting to tap in, bro.
Hey, I appreciate you for coming, man. It's good seeing you, man. You know, we came a long way, bro.
Hey,
we
man.
came a long way in 20 years.
Hey, bro. You know, when I showed up on campus, 370 something pounds, bro.
You know, I mean, I'll tell you what, man. You look great, by the way.
Appreciate it, man.
You look great, man. Like, you know, they don't tell us that we got to maintain this muscle once we get done.
Shit,
they don't tell us nothing about that.
I went up to 445 pounds. I
yeah,
went all the way the wrong way.
Yeah, they don't tell us that. So it's like I'm trying to get down now, but you know, man, it's good to see my people making moves, man. Mogul moves.
Mogul
How about
moves
that?
Only, you feel me?
Yeah.
Hey, man, with JG, bro, we're going to have to link up again soon, man.
For sure.
Man, I appreciate you.
For sure.